I never imagined my life would take this turn, not in a million lifetimes. Yet, here I was, standing in the middle of a palace that looked as if it had been plucked from the stars themselves, surrounded by creatures that made me question every notion I'd ever held about biology. I was the only human, literally, the only one who looked like me, at what was undoubtedly the most important event in the galaxy, the royal wedding of Prince Kael of the Syrren Empire. It had started innocuously enough. I was an interstellar travel journalist, accustomed to strange customs, exotic foods, and bizarre court ceremonies, but nothing had prepared me for this. The invitation had arrived in the form of a shimmering crystal orb, delivered to my small quarters aboard the Nomad Star. When it opened, a holographic image of the prince himself appeared, speaking in perfect galactic standard. You, human, have been chosen to witness a moment that will unite our empire in ways no single being can imagine. Attend, and you shall see the future. I'd laughed nervously at first. Chosen? Me? The only human journalist known to have survived a black hole flyby and reported back? Apparently luck or destiny had a sense of humor. Arrival at the Syrren Palace. The palace floated above the luminous clouds of Zerithia Prime, a planet bathed in violet light and surrounded by rings of iridescent ice particles. My transport pod docked at the palace's docking bay, which shimmered like liquid metal. I stepped out, heart pounding, as dozens of Syrrens, tall, lithe beings with translucent skin revealing a faint inner bioluminescence, curved their heads in greeting. "You are human?" one asked, her voice like the chime of crystal. I nodded. She blinked in a way that seemed like both curiosity and amusement.
Rare.
Fragile. Welcome. The palace interior was a cathedral of alien architecture, towers of spiraling glass, walkways suspended in midair, and holographic flowers that changed colors with the temperature. Everywhere, there was a sense of anticipation, like the very air vibrated with excitement. I was quickly whisked to a viewing balcony, where I had the perfect vantage point of the ceremony hall. The other guests, Syrren nobles from across the empire, were floating elegantly or gliding on magnetic platforms. They were dressed in silken garments that refracted light into fractal patterns, giving each individual a constantly shifting aura. And then I saw him, the groom and the ceremony. Prince Kael was mesmerizing, taller than anyone I had ever seen, with a crown of crystalline tendrils hovering above his head. He moved with a fluidity that seemed almost liquid. His skin shimmered with a subtle gradient, reflecting the emotions of the crowd: excitement, joy, reverence. The bride, Princess Lyra of the neighboring planet Voron, was equally striking. Her body glowed faintly, her multiple arms folding and unfolding in perfect symmetry as she approached the ceremonial dais. When her eyes met Kael's, the air seemed to hum. I shivered, realizing that the moment of their union was not just symbolic, it was literally energy-charged, a psychic resonance that the Syrrens called the Confluence. And then the unexpected happened. One of the attendants approached me, bowing so low that his head nearly touched the floor. "You are human," he whispered. "It is unusual for a human to witness the confluence. You may feel overwhelmed. Proceed with caution." I swallowed hard. Overwhelmed?
How?
"Everything you know about reality," he said, "will expand." I laughed nervously again, thinking he was exaggerating. But when the ceremony began, I realized he wasn't. The confluence. The moment Kael and Lyra touched hands, energy erupted. Waves of color and sound, not like any earthly music, filled the chamber. The walls rippled, as if alive. The guests' bioluminescent skins flared in harmony with the energy. And me? I felt my body vibrate in ways that were both exhilarating and terrifying. Visions flooded my mind, stars being born, civilizations rising and falling, entire solar systems connected through threads of light. I saw myself, small and fragile, floating among gods. Somehow, being human made me uniquely receptive. I wasn't just observing history, I was experiencing the fabric of the Syrren universe itself. I almost fell to my knees, but a soft hand steadied me. It was Lyra. She smiled, not at me, exactly, but through me, as if I were part of the ceremony. "Do not fear," she said. Her voice echoed in my mind. "You're safe here. Your presence is necessary." Necessary? For a human? My mind raced, trying to comprehend. An unexpected role. After the ceremony, I was led to a private chamber. Kael and Lyra were there, their forms still glowing with residual energy. "You are human," Kael said, his voice deep and resonant. "Yet you can perceive what even most Syrrens cannot. You are a witness, yes, but also a bridge." "A bridge?" I asked, trembling. "Yes," Lyra said, her fingers brushing a floating orb of light. "Your species has not yet awakened its potential, but you respond to energy in ways others cannot. Your presence validates the confluence across dimensions. You anchor it." I blinked. "So, I'm here for a cosmic wedding favor?" Kael chuckled, and the sound was like a symphony of wind chimes. "In a way, yes. But it is far more than a favor. You are part of this union in ways you cannot yet understand." It was humbling and terrifying. I realized that the invitation wasn't just a gesture of goodwill, it was a deliberate act, one that would alter the course of history. Exploring the palace the following hours were surreal. I wandered the palace with Lyra as my guide, seeing chambers filled with living art, gardens that floated in zero gravity, and libraries that contained not books, but crystallized memories of past rulers. I met nobles who communicated through thoughts, danced with bioluminescent beings who reflected moods, and even tasted foods that adjusted their flavor based on my emotions. And yet I never forgot that I was the only human. Everywhere I went, I felt the weight of my singularity. They treated me with respect, curiosity, and caution, as if I were a fragile artifact from another world. At one point, Lyra led me to the palace's observation deck. Below us, the rings of Zerithia Prime sparkled like a million tiny diamonds. "Do you see?" she said, gesturing to the expanse, "how small we all are? Yet even the smallest presence can ripple across the cosmos. You, human, are proof of that truth." I swallowed, overwhelmed. She wasn't just speaking metaphorically. I felt it, the weight and significance of my presence, and the responsibility it carried. The gala and revelations that evening, the wedding gala, began. Music, not produced by instruments, but by shifting energy patterns, filled the air. I danced awkwardly with a three-armed diplomat, laughed with beings who had no mouths but conveyed emotion through light, and marveled at the spectacle of a civilization so advanced, it was almost incomprehensible. Then Kael approached me, his form shifting from one color to another, mirroring his mood. "You may wonder why only you were invited. Why you, of all beings in the universe, were chosen to witness this event." "I do," I admitted. He smiled. "Because humans still possess something precious. A perspective untainted by centuries of evolution. The ability to see wonder without expectation. To feel awe, truly, for the first time. That is why your presence matters. That is why you are here." It was the first time I felt pride in being human. Among beings who were so advanced, I was insignificant in many ways, but also vital in ways I never imagined. The aftermath, as the gala ended, I stood once more on the observation deck, watching the twin suns of Zarithia Prime set. Kael and Lyra stood beside me, their hands intertwined, radiating warmth and light. "You may return to your world," Lyra said softly, "but know this. Your perspective has shifted the course of our empire. You are now part of our history." I nodded, tears threatening to spill. I don't know how to process this." "You will," Kael assured me. "The universe has a way of revealing its truths when the time is right." When I finally departed the palace, the human pod I had arrived in felt almost mundane. Yet inside, I carried something extraordinary. Memories, yes, but also understanding, connection, and the realization that even a single human could leave ripples in the cosmic ocean. And perhaps, just perhaps, I would never look at humanity, or myself, the same way again. Ending the ship ascended from Zarithia Prime, leaving the floating palace behind. I glanced back one last time, seeing the bioluminescent towers shimmer against the violet sky. I felt a gentle tug in my mind, a reminder that I had not simply witnessed history, I had participated in it. Somewhere, far across the galaxy, two beings had united their empires. And somewhere, in the quiet vastness of space, a single human floated among the stars, carrying the echoes of a royal wedding that had changed the fate of more than one world. As I drifted toward my next destination, I realized that being the only human wasn't a limitation. It was a privilege, one that I would never forget.